name is Kamal Boodhoo. I'm 28 years old. Originally from Barbados.
Where did you find out about this opportunity to work on these farms in the UK? Tell us about the whole process, like how you applied, what you was told you'll be doing, how much was you told you'll be paid, and talk to us like the whole process. Like, were you told to buy, did you have to buy a visa? Did you have to apply for a visa? What sort of ticket did you buy? Talk us through all those little details, please.
Well, the first step that I had to take for myself was I got in contact with one of the agents from Concordia. He is the head person to start this program in Barbados. So he's the main person. He controls everything with everyone to and from Barbados. So I got into contact with him, and we did a interview on WhatsApp. He just gave me all the procedures and just gave me a short interview, and said that that's a good opportunity to come over. That some guys from last year, you can be making up to a minimum of 400 to 500 pounds a week. You will be paid £8.91 an hour, £8.91 an hour. I had to purchase a one-way ticket. He made sure he told us to buy a one-way ticket.
So you had to buy the ticket?
Yeah, I had to buy the ticket myself. After that, we had to purchase a working visa, Tier 5 agriculture visa that we had to come upon. From what I understood from Mr. Griffith is that Concordia is sponsoring us. So I asked him, how are they sponsoring us? He said that they will be paying a small sum of the work permit towards us. But once we got to the permit agency where we had to get the stamp and everything, we had to pay the full amount. We paid 900 Barbados dollars.
All right, thank you for those details. Talk to us about leaving Barbados. What were your expectations? How were you feeling? And tell us about what happened when you arrived in the UK.
Leaving Barbados was one of the most hardest experiences of my life, because I had to leave my daughter behind, my first time leaving her. So that was very hard. I was still very excited too as well to get on board with this new experience and this new chapter of my life. So we beautiful flight over from Barbados to the UK, came over, very nice, came to Heathrow Airport, and very friendly. Everyone was very nice. When we got our bags checked out and everything, we got to the waiting area in the airport and we saw Christopher Griffith there. He met us, and we were originally supposed to have a big coach bus to come to pick us up. No, we paid each person, it was 15 of us in all, and each of us paid £70 per person towards this coach bus. When we were outside waiting for about half an hour, and obviously some of us may have packed for the climate change, the cold, but I had some people obviously that now have to purchase their winter clothes, their jackets, their hoodies, this stuff like that, etc. So we were outside in the cold for about half an hour, and we were waiting, expecting this coach bus. We saw two guys just walking, coming up to us. I'm not sure if they're Bulgarian or Ukrainian, I'm not sure, but they speak very little English. They walked up, came over to us. Mr. Griffith said the coach bus is here. We had to walk back into the car park on the other side to get to the cars. When we got to the cars, it was two 7-seaters.
Two 7-seater cars.
Two 7-seaters that we paid £70 a head for.
I appreciate you sharing that with us. And just to sort of move the story along, if you could tell us about your experience at farm number 1. Just for the record, we're not going to name any of these farms. So the first farm that you went to, we'll refer to as farm number 1. So if you can tell us about farm number 1, what it was like, what you had to do, the conditions, and your overall experience there.
Farm number 1 was it was an eye-opening experience. Once we arrived at the farm, we got settled into our caravans. We were arranged to each caravan. So it was 15 of us. We broke down into three caravans. One caravan had four, another caravan had five, and my caravan had six people inside of it. In the beginning, the caravans are only originally supposed to hold four people, but we had six in ours. And our caravan, my caravan, was filthy. I got into the caravan, and it's like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at nighttime, and I got into the caravan. The caravan is completely covered in mold, cobwebs on the inside. The curtains themselves, they're the white curtains, and you can actually see the mold spots on the curtain. We went into one of the bathrooms. The toilet had mold all around the inside. The tub, the shower had mold on it. One of the bedrooms we went into, they were completely infested with spiders. There was blood on the carpets too as well, on the floor. The bed was not stable. So as I said, it was the six of us in there. That first experience, we actually, myself and another guy, we had to sleep on the sofa, on two love seat sofas, two love seat sofas, and then or sometimes we had to sleep on the floor. There was no heating inside of the caravan, so we were forced to be cold for maybe like 2 days.
Did you
Work wise, pardon me?
Did you raise the concerns of the caravan, the conditions it was in? Did you tell anyone, say this is not acceptable? And what did they tell you?
When I spoke to them about the caravan, they told me that they will try to work on something for me to see if they can get a new caravan. Throughout the process, I did get switched over to a nicer caravan, a more cleaner caravan. But that process took maybe about a week and a half to 2 weeks.
All right, tell us about the working experiences. What was it like working on this farm? Tell us what you did. What was the job?
Well, the job description that we originally signed up for was we were harvesting the strawberries from tabletops. So we were all very excited, as I said. We all thought that the strawberries would be growing off of the ground. They're supposed to be waist height, and you should pick them and just walk along. When we got to the first farm, we got there and we got to our first day of work, and we see the strawberries, the beds, they're in the ground. They're flat on the floor. We actually had to purchase knee pads because we had to crawl through the tunnels. Each tunnel is maybe about 300 meters long. And you will have to crawl through that on your knees to pick the strawberries. And bear in mind too as well, they would start work sometimes maybe 3-4 o'clock in the morning.
Was
So
you able to see anything at that time?
At that point in time, especially in Scotland too as well, you have to really, really searching for the strawberries to the point that it's freezing cold. Your fingertips are numb. You can't even feel your fingers. The staff on the field, they were very mean. They were very mean. I don't know if they had something against us. I don't want to say that they disliked colored people if they had a problem with race, but it did seem that way. It is very, very eye-opening too as well to see that this is what the world has come to be completely honest. Like, we're not allowed to, once we're working, we're not allowed to go to the bathroom. We're not allowed to get up, like being on your knees constantly for 12 hours throughout the day. Sometimes you may just want to stand up, stretch your back, stretch your knees. As soon as you stood up or you stopped picking, they were behind you, like you're a slave. Continue telling you to pick, don't stop, continue to pick.
And
Yeah.
I mean, what other experiences did you have on this farm? You're talking about, you had to pick on your knees, the conditions of the caravan that you were staying in. Tell us about the pay. Like, how much money did you make in this first farm? Did you have any issues with how much you was paid?
Yeah, that was one of our main problems that we actually had. That was one of the first alarms off. We were originally told, as I said earlier, we were originally supposed to have a payment of $8.91 in an hour. And once we got to the farm, we did the work, the first week's pay came. It actually turned out that they were paying us piece rate. So they were paying us like $1.80, £1.80 for each crate that we picked.
Mm-hmm. And then when you're saying for each crate, just for our people watching, what would be the
10,
crate? How many
yeah,
packs of strawberries would be in one crate?
yeah, 10 pallets of strawberries is in one crate.
Okay, so you would have to pick 10 pallets of strawberries in one crate for £1.80.
Yeah.
Okay. And I mean, did you raise your concerns about the pay with anybody there, and what was their response?
Yeah, so when we spoke to the management, they said that that is the rate that they normally pay.
Okay.
So we explained to them that that is not what we were promised. So we had a meeting. We all got together and we had a meeting with Mr. Griffith.
Mm-hmm. What did he say?
Pardon me?
What did Mr. Griffith say?
Mr. Griffith says that that is what we agreed to, and that is how the farm pays. And we basically was not having that. All of us, we came together. We told Mr. Griffith that we would like to get a transfer because this is not what you promised us.
Mm-hmm. And was that the reason why you left from farm number 1 and went to farm number 2?
Yes, please.
Okay. Tell us about farm number 2, the overall experience, what you saw, how the staff were, what the conditions were like, and again, the pay.
Well, farm number 2, to be completely honest, was the best out of the set. That is the truth. Yes, it still had its ups and downs. When we first arrived at the second farm, it was maybe about midday, and everyone came out. They saw us, and you can tell, that they wanted to know what was going on and stuff like that. The caravans, the living situations at the second farm. My caravan personally was, I had no problem with my caravan. It was very clean, very nice. The staff members, they did a weekly inspection on the caravan to come and check the smoke detectors, the fire extinguisher, the heaters. We had to, they gave us heaters at this farm here too, the second farm. The first farm, we actually had to purchase heaters. I forgot to tell you about that. They had to purchase heaters for £30. They actually gave us heaters for this farm. The work experience at this farm was very nice. The farms were on compound, so you were able to just walk and go to the farm. The time to start was more reasonable. We were starting 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the morning.
Right, okay. Why did you end up leaving the second farm to go on to the third one?
We came home one day from work and we just had all of us, we just received a dismissal letter saying that the farm doesn't have any more work for us and we will either have to talk to our agent or purchase a ticket to go back home.
Right, okay. And how long had you been on that farm when you got the dismissal letter?
We were mainly on that farm maybe about 2-3 weeks.
Okay. And then you was moved to a third farm, which wasn't in Scotland, it was in England, is that correct?
Yeah, that one was in Norwich.
Okay. Just for our people watching again, describe what happened on farm number 3 and go through the conditions, everything like what you've done with farm number 1 and 2. What happened on farm number 3?
When we left farm number 2, we had to pay another £80. Well, we had to pay £80 now to get from that farm over to Norwich in the same transportation again, same 2 7-seaters. Once we arrived over, we were promised caravans the exact same way what we were living in, and separate bathrooms, stuff like that there. Once we got to the farm, it was nothing what we expected. They had caravans on the lot, and it is basically a church camp that they have converted over into kind of like a dorm situation instead of caravans. So once you arrive there, you get to your room because you're basically going to be in your room. It is maybe a 10 by 10 room with two bunk beds on the inside. So you're basically sharing the room with three other guys and four single closets, maybe no more than a foot in width.
Mm-hmm. So again, nothing that you was promised.
Nothing what we were promised. The place, it is not very well kept. The bathrooms you have to walk over 100 yards to get to the bathroom. Just to get to the shower, you have to walk the same thing another 100 yards. To the kitchen, to cook any food that you want to cook, you have to go about 150 yards just to cook your food.
And tell us about the conditions of the bathroom.
Uh, very, very, very disgusting. I do not understand to this day how people can do what they did in that bathroom. We would go into the washroom and they will have feces on the floor. They will have toilet paper full of feces and blood just all over. The toilet would be clogged up to the point that you can actually see that multiple people have used the bathroom on top of one another without flushing the toilet.
Mm-hmm.
They claim that the bathrooms were cleaned every day, but I honestly doubt that. That is the way how the bathrooms were kept being clean. They had the drinking water taps in those same bathrooms too as well. So, I mean, me personally, I wasn't drinking any water from there. Personally, I was buying my bottled water. But, just for instance, for anyone that may just need some water to drink, they have to go through the bathroom to see that, to inhale that, and get some water to drink.
What were the working conditions like?
Yeah, so the third farm, once we got to work, the same things applied. We would get to a row. This farm, the third farm, was actually tabletops too as well. So that was a nice ease to see. We weren't allowed to pick the rows that we wanted to pick from. We were assigned each row the same way. And once we were allocated the row, they would come and show us like how they would want their stuff picked. This farm was a bit different because they used to change. Sometimes they would want the stalk on the strawberry, the stem. And then sometimes throughout the day, they would change over and say they don't want the stalk or whatever it would be. Some days, sometimes we would be picking and we would pick sometimes maybe 20 to 30 crates of strawberries before half the day. And then we would hear that they actually wanted the stalks off, the stems off.
Mm-hmm.
They would dump all of our strawberries instead of just picking off the stems. They would dump all the strawberries straight in the trash.
Wow.
And then 2 hours later, they would say that they want the ones with stems.
So you would have picked all of that for nothing?
For nothing. And we wouldn't have been paid for that because they were paying us the same piece rate, the same way.
Right. So they weren't even paying you per hour for the work that you done. It would be based on how many you picked.
How much strawberries you picked and weigh out throughout the day. If you while on the field and the rest of the guys, the other Eastern Europeans, when they were finished picking, they would send us, the Barbadians, back through, well, blacks back through to pick behind the Eastern Europeans and pick up their trash. So they're basically going through the aisles and just picking their good strawberries, man. Meanwhile, we have to go through the aisle, pick up their rubbish. So they're actually making more money and we're actually helping them to make money, basically.
Kamal, how much money do you think you've made since you've been here? Is it anywhere near the £500 per week you was promised?
No, furthest thing from, I would say throughout my experience, from We landed here June 1st to this day. I've probably made throughout the farm work and everything, approximately I would say about £1,300.
Hmm. Wow. And what's been like your highest paycheck that you've ever got, just roughly?
Um, like 270 something pounds for
Hmm.
the week.
Okay. And then what's been the lowest amount you've been paid, say on a paycheck?
Like £17.
£17.
Yes, please.
Okay. And just for the record, in terms of like the whole experience, you had to pay for your own accommodation, which was a caravan, is that correct?
Yeah, each person in the caravan had to pay £57.
Hmm. Okay. Was there anything else you had to pay or anything else that was deducted out of your wages?
We had to take, there was a deduction out of the paychecks for the gas. We had to pay we had to pay for our electricity cards,
Hmm.
um, transportation from the farm, from the caravans to the farm. We
Hmm.
had to pay for that transportation.
Are you able to afford a ticket now to go back to Barbados based on what you've earned on these programs?
To be completely honest, I was not able to purchase a ticket by myself. Um, my family, I had to have a lot of help from my family,
Hmm.
and my family is the one. My aunt is the one who's actually put together and bought the ticket for me to come home.
But what was it that drove you to leave once and for all?
What pushed me over the edge was the room I was staying in, the mattress that I was sleeping on. It was very lumpy. I was suffering with back spasms on the morning.
Hmm.
So I actually had to go over to the hospital, to Norwich Hospital, and they gave me a week off with some medication and stuff like that there. And I explained to them the mattress and the situation and everything that was going on. So they told me to go back to the farm. They gave me a week off. When I came back to the office, I asked them for a new mattress just to make sure, that all that my back can get back into place.
Hmm.
Um, as I said, it was a week off. After that week, I did not receive any work for a week and a half. No work schedule. I was told that I was supposed to have sick pay because I was entitled to the sick pay. When I got to the office told me I'm not entitled to sick pay, that the UK doesn't pay sick pay over here. I contacted Mr. Griffith, and Mr. Griffith told me the same thing. He told me that I would be lucky if I get money for my 7 days that I'm home. So after all of that happened, I lost it. I said I got fed up, and I just packed my suitcase and I left.
Would you encourage any other workers, any other people from Barbados or other Caribbean islands, if this scheme was open to, St. Lucia or Grenada or Trinidad, Jamaica, any other islands in the Caribbean, would you encourage us to come and work on these farms?
Of course not. I would not. I would not send my worst enemy up here to do this work. This is not anything that I would recommend anyone to leave your homeland, your family, anything to come up here to do. This is modern day slaverism that is going on up here. A lot of racism. I wouldn't recommend anyone to come up here to do it.
I want to thank you for speaking to me, and I wish you a safe journey back to Barbados whenever you do go.